Hello, hello. How are you?
Okay. How are you?
Can't hear you, can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Now, yeah.
I don't know why you can't hear me. Can you
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
I'm not joining. Avi and Victor are, and I think Elaine. It is
Okay.
recording. Okay. I'm going to pass the.
Wait, we don't record yet. Don't record yet. Wait for the thing. You know what? Can you try and give me
It's automatic recording.
It started already now? It started already now?
When I made the reservation, I didn't want any later, so I booked. Maybe you can edit the recording. I'm not sure. Can try that. Or when I pass the hosting to you, maybe you can also start a recording from your local computer.
Okay, can I share? I can't share now. Let's see if I can share. I can't share.
Not yet. Hold on. You will in a second.
Hello, everybody. Avi, you're quiet. You're mute.
I know. I don't like to get in before before you guys are ready for me. I saw you talking to Karen.
Good morning, Avi.
Here I can do it already.
Morning, Karen.
Good morning, Avi.
You're the best.
Thank you. Always complimentary. Never justified. Hood, you've got the.
Here you go.
Can you record from where you are?
Let me see. Yeah, it's recording. I can record.
I mean, it's recording.
Okay, so I'll start. I'll try and record from mine. I'll see because it's saying to me something. I'll try. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Should I wait for anybody else? We're waiting for anybody else.
I'm going to put the avocado next to it. It's not exactly what you said. I knew that.
Avi, who are we waiting for? Avi?
Victor and Elaine. I think Elaine said that she was joining.
You're happy that we're doing an avocado tree, Tov?
Yes.
Good.
Elaine
was
joining, didn't she?
I'm sorry, what? Did anybody talk to me? Elaine is supposed to join. Let me call her.
Karen, we miss you the whole time. You're absent the whole time. I mean, part and parcel. Here's Elaine. Here she is.
Next time. But I just want to say something to Elaine first of all.
Okay.
I never replied about this afternoon popping, your little party for your big party for Barbara.
Wait, say it again.
I said I never replied to the about Barbara's afternoon.
Oh, okay, just come.
It would. We've got to go somewhere else, but we'll pop over. Did you buy
3:30 to 5:30?
Did you buy a gift, or is there something to join, or it's just a?
No, forget it. Just show up. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Karen, you are invited, of course, to stay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to call Victor.
Okay.
Hi, Elaine. How are you?
Good morning. Okay. Sorry for my lack of response. It's been a busy week.
That's good. Baruch Hashem.
Okay. Yeah, it's money. Busy is money.
That means you're going to make a deposit.
Start without Victor. He's on his. Victor said start.
I'm starting. Okay, I'm starting the recording with ours. Now I'll start. Share, just 1 second. And here we are sharing. Okay, one thing that I skipped out last week, and I think it's essential. So let me just add one more note from last week. We talked about last week. Can you see the lettering? Can you see the Kititze? Everybody can see the page of Kititze?
Right.
Okay, at the bottom of the page, I said I'm going to talk about Eshet Avicha lo yigale knaf aviv. I want to talk about the word knaf. Okay, this is one. Hello. I just wanted to say that why, how's arayot called in English? Arayot? Hello, anybody can hear me? What
Yes,
are
We all hear you.
Yeah,
ayot called in English? Not idolatry, what's it called?
Ancestry.
What again?
Ancestry?
Ancestry. Why is the only ancestry written here about the father's wife? Why is not written the whole amount of ancestry? And
oh, not
this
ancestry, incest.
Incest.
incest, exactly. And the answer that I found is a very interesting answer because the continuation is the other peoples we've got afterwards. Lo yavo patua daka. Okay, I won't go into that. But then it's written Ammoni and Moavi. Can you see at verse number Dalet, Ammoni and Moavi? Now, who was the one that had incest at the beginning? If you remember the book of Genesis, who was the first guy?
Daughters.
It's not okay. You're right, Lot. Okay, but they meant well. They meant well. But we're talking about Noach. We're actually talking about before Lot, Noach, and we're talking about Ham. Ham, and we're talking about Canaan. So actually, they're talking about here. Perhaps they're giving a hint. The Torah is giving a hint about the Canaanim. Interesting. Okay, that's one interesting thing. That's why it's the only incest that is written here, because it's reversing to the Canaanites, and you're coming into the country. So be aware from the Canaanites, be aware from the Moavis, the Ammonites, the Mitzrim, and so on. Okay, that's one interesting thing. The second thing is the word Kanaf Aviv, which Kanaf means many times means the wing of a bird, but it also means a corner of a coat, yes, of a coat, of a garment. But here it means the extension of your father, which means his wife. Doesn't mean your mother, it means his wife. And here I want to give you one more place, at least one more place, which is written very, it's written very clearly about the wife. Just 1 second. Here, I'm going into, no, it's not this one, it's this one. Okay, tell me if you can see the top of the page. No, you can't see it yet. Okay,
why would it repeat Eshet Aviv and Kanaf Aviv if it's the same?
Okay, you're right. You're right. Why do they? It might mean two types of incest. It might.
Right,
Here it might mean like Canaan that it talked about the husband itself. Okay, I haven't got a proper explanation, but here I want to show you something interesting. Can you see now the new page? On top is written in Ruth. Vayomer mi'at, when he finds out this girl sleeping next to him in the barn. Vatomer anuchi Ruth amatecha ufarasta knafecha lamatecha. Please cover me.
So is it possible?
Yes,
is it possible that Kanaf Aviv means all the descendants of his father as well? Like
it could be also the descendants. You're very well, Victor. I can imagine. What does it mean here in this verse in Ruth? It means, please cover me with your garment, or in other words, marry me. Marry me. Vatomer anuchi Ruth, I'm Ruth, your servant, marry me alamatecha, ki goel ata, and definitely the continuation of those stories that he agrees to marry her after the brother didn't want to marry her. Okay, so that's interesting. I just wanted to say 2 minutes about last week. Let's start this week. Okay, I'm going back again to the pages of this week. Just 1 second. Okay, we're going to start. Tell me if you can see now. Wow, okay. Can you see the new page or not yet?
No.
Not yet, okay. Now you should see the new page. Tavo.
Coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we're talking about the new Parashat Tavo, and we talked about last week that there's so many commandments. Last week's Parasha, by the way, we talked about 74 commandments, and here there are 2 more commandments written in chapter 26, at the end of 26, Here you've got here Perek Vav, the end of 26, two more commandments. One is the Bikurim that we give on Shavuot, and the other one is once in every 3 years, in the 7 years. We are, by the way, coming into Tafshin Pei Aleph, soon in Rosh Hashanah. It's going to be the 6th year. The end of the 7th year, or the end of the 3rd year and the end of the 7th year, twice in the 7 years, we finish the whole giving of the Trumot Ma'asot, all the presents that we have to give to the Kohen, to the Levi, to the poor people, and so on. And the question is, why did Chazal divide the portion of this parasha with these last two mitzvot? I mean, if already we've had so many mitzvot at last week, 74, they couldn't add 2 more, and it would be 76, and then we would start a new topic. Why did they leave the last 2? And the answer is the last 2 mitzvot are very special. And I actually bolded in green what's special about these mitzvot. These are the only mitzvot that we do something physical and we also say something. Okay, we've got many mitzvot that we do things physically, like putting on tefillin or like blowing the shofar and so on. The other mitzvot that we talk, like Shema Yisrael, or we say all kinds of Agadah Shel Pesach. I'll soon talk about the Agadah. But here you've got both. You've also got something active, and you've also got something that you say. And have a look at both the green that I bolded, also the first mitzvah of Bikurim, and I wrote here in verse number 5, Ve'anita ve'amarta lifnei Hashem Elokecha, when you come and bring those 7 speeches, the 7 minim, to Bikurim and Beit HaMikdash starts from Shavuot, but mostly they brought it on Sukkot, you have to also say something. And exactly the same words appear at the other mitzvah that we're talking about, the 3rd year and the end of the 7th year, that I finish giving all the presents to all the guys that I have to owe them. I owe them, the Kohen, the Levi, the poor guy, and ve'amarta lifnei Hashem Elokecha. So these are the only 2 mitzvot that there is something special about them. But we'll soon see in the next page that what we're going to say is definitely coming on. It suits very well with the continuation, what we're going to say at the continuation. What's going to be the continuation? This, I said, is the longest speech in the whole Torah. We talked about it a few weeks ago, that this speech that Moshe didn't stop talking. You remember we talked about the Sefer Dvarim. He's muttering and talking, didn't stop talking. By the way, what happened to his stuttering? He stopped stuttering. The Midrash says he stopped stuttering, he suddenly talked and talked and talked. And we're talking about from chapter 5 onwards, he's giving the Ne'um HaMitzvot. He's giving the whole speech of mitzvot. And we talked about that the speech of mitzvot starts with the 10 commandments and then the details of the 10 commandments. But these last 2 mitzvot are talking about something which is to do with the end of it. And what's the end of it? Have a look at verse number 16. Hayom hazeh, this day, Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha la'asot et hachukim ha'eleh, and God is commanding you to do these laws. And then the next verse is in verse 17, Et Hashem emarta hayom liot lecha le'elohim, and he's in the next verse, Hashem ha'mircha hayom liot lecha le'am zgula. That means if you do the right thing for God, doing all the mitzvot, He will be your special God in comparison to the rest of the Goyim. And that's exactly the 2 speeches that we're going to see in these 2 mitzvot. We'll soon talk about it in the next page, that what we say in Bikurim is talking about that we have done what we should have done. And the next speech is in the next mitzvah, God, please, we've done what we've done. It's about time that you do what you have to do. So you can see that I would say it like in English, tit for tat. We've done what we've done. So now it's your turn to reward us and to give us some special significance of Am Yisrael and help us. So these are the special two speeches, and that's why these two mitzvot are not put in the last portion, they're put in this portion because the continuation of this is the next speech. And the next speech is, I put a line here in the middle, and the top of the line I wrote here on the right side, until here is the longest speech, and it finishes Ne'um HaMitzvot. This is the speech of all the mitzvot. It starts from chapter 5 and finishes here at chapter 26. But here, from chapter 27, Aleph, is from the bottom of underneath the line, starts the new speech until the end of the Torah. And the new speech is Ne'um HaBrit, which means the covenant. And we have to ask, why do we need another covenant? We've had already a covenant. Do you remember when was the other covenant?
One with Abraham, the other one in Sinai.
In Sinai. We're talking about Am Yisrael. Okay, with Abraham, we're talking about he's the beginning of the first Juba. We're talking about Am Yisrael. 40 years ago, 39 years ago, there was a covenant already in Har Sinai. So why do we need another covenant? I'll say just in shortly, then the covenant was engagement, and now after 40 years, it's getting married. So there's an engagement party and there's a marriage party. It's not my words. Chazal say it in one of the Midrashim, and I think that it suits very well. We, after 40 years, and it's written here over and over again, now you understand God. After 40 years, and by the way, I can tell you that many times I'm going to be married to my wife this year, 40 years. Only now I understand my wife. Okay, so it takes 40 years sometimes. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a Purim, but it's still time. But I'm saying that usually it takes to understand, and definitely to understand Hashem, to understand God with all his, all the mitzvot and all the commandments, all the really peculiar things that the other peoples don't do, put on tefillin and Leil Seder and so on. All these things we have only try to understand that only after 40 years. I would say that's getting married properly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's why we have two covenants. The first covenant is getting engaged after coming out of Egypt for 50 days, but now is the main getting married. Okay, so this is one thing that I wanted to show you on this page. I'll soon talk about these speeches. I just want to say one more thing about the top of the page. Can you see at verse number 6? I'm reading verse number 6. Uvata el Kohen, you bring the 7 speeches on Shavuot whenever you come to the Beit HaMikdash. Asher yeh bayamim hahem, the Kohen that is there, ve'amart elav higadeti hayom. By the way, the word higadeti, I didn't bold it, is the main part of the Agadat Pesach. The word Haggadah that we do on the 15th of Nisan when we do the Leil Seder, it's called Haggadah. Where does it come from? Here. And by the way, this is the main part. This paragraph that we're talking about is taken the essence of the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. I always say, thank you, Chazal, that they didn't make us say the whole story for 12 or 13 chapters that are written in Exodus. They only asked us to say these few psukim. Of course, afterwards Chazal expanded that and gave explanations, but the main Agadah is here, Higadeti Hayom, and we say, Ve'anita ve'amarta, Arami Oved David. Do you remember these words? Arami Oved David, you remember from the Agadah? Vayered Mitzrayim, and we came down, we were a servant, and we came down to Egypt. Vayagosh B'Mimtei. All this paragraph is actually the Haggadah of Pesach. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to talk about on the top of the page. The second thing I want to talk about is at the next speech, which starts at chapter 27. And then the thing starts, Vaitzav Moshe. I want to show you that these words that I bolded in purple, Vaitzav Moshe, V'ziknei Yisrael ta'am lemor, is written again in verse number 11. Why is it written again? That's the first question, which is an easy question. The more difficult question is, why is it written in red in the middle, something which shouldn't be written here? It will be written at the next chapter. And what is written in red? You will hear God's words and you will do his commandments. All this is written afterwards in this next chapter. This is chapter 27. Chapter 28 is all the curses. It's the blessings, and then it's all the curses, enormous amount of curses. But if you remember, at the beginning, before the curses, there's the blessings. If you listen to Hashem and you do his mitzvot, then you will get all the blessings, you will be prosperous, you'll get Eretz Yisrael, it'll rain a lot, and over, and all the good things that I wish they would already happen the whole time. Why is this written in the middle here? Okay, so I'm going to answer. So actually the two questions are one long question. Why is this phrase, Vaitzav Moshe, and again here it's Vaitzav Moshe, can you see purple with purple? Et ha'am lemor, Vaitzav Moshe et ha'am lemor. Why is it written twice? It repeats itself because this is stuck in the middle. Why is it stuck in the middle? Because here we're going to talk about another tekes. How do you say tekes in English?
Ritual?
Ceremony?
A ritual. There's this covenant, which is a ritual, is nothing happened here. Moshe is already telling you that we're going to do another continuation of this ritual. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, the first covenant was in Sinai. The second covenant starts here, but it's not the main covenant. Where's the main covenant? On Har Grizim and Har Evan, when you enter Eretz Israel. So why doesn't Moshe wait for that? He can't wait for that because he's not going to come into the Eretz Israel. So why don't you leave it for Yeshua? Because I wrote here on the side, doesn't matter what I wrote here on the side, I'm saying that actually the Torah is telling us that Moshe approves of what Yeshua is going to do. Because in another few days, we're talking about the end of the Torah, and Moshe is going to die soon. And in another month or so, when they are going to cross the Jordan, and Yeshua is going to do this whole, how do you call it? This tekes, this whole ritual. Ceremony. Yeah, that's the word I wanted to say. The ceremony on Har Grizim, on Har Eval. Who told you to do that? Why are you making it up? Who said that this covenant is right? The covenant starts already now, and that's why this whole thing is written here twice to give approval to Yeshua. So actually, there are two covenants. One covenant, like I said, is the engagement. That was in Sinai 39 years ago, or 40 years ago. Now the second covenant starts here, is the marriage, but actually the main ceremony will happen when you come into Eretz Israel, and you'll go on Har Grizim and Har Eval, and there you'll stand opposite all the Goyim in the middle of the country, and to give approval, Moshe already puts it here in the middle. And that's why this is written here in the middle to show you that it's approval. Okay, so that's an interesting thing that I wanted to show you, and the commentators actually comment on that. They said this verse shouldn't be written here. It's already written in the next chapter, but it's telling you that this verse is taken from what's written afterwards, because it's telling you this is a continuation of what Moshe is saying, Yeshua will carry on. So this whole thing of taking the 12 stones, and here it's written here, for instance, on verse number 4, Vaya be'ovrechem, when you'll cross the Jordan, you'll take 12 stones from the Jordan, and you'll place them on Har Eval, and you'll cover them with whatever it is, seed, what's it called, the white stuff, seed is whatever it is, uvanita sham mizbech, and you'll build a big altar, and then Yeshua will say what he'll say. It's here is the main thing, that it starts already here. So that's one page that I wanted to show you, that is telling you the two mitzvot are, that we're talking about, the last two mitzvot are exactly carrying on the continuation of what Hashem is going to say to him. And here is actually approval of Moshe, what Yoshua is going to do. I'm starting that whole ritual already now. Let me go to the next page and let me show you exactly what I mean. Just 1 second. Okay. Tell me if you can see.
Eval and Grizim is where Nablus is?
Is near Nablus, near Shechem. Yes. Nachon. Well, I'll show you a picture of that. If already I'm showing you. Why is it not going? Just 1 second. Why is it not going? I'm just trying to think. Oh, why is it not going? How do I go this in? Okay, just 1 second. Ooh.
That's where the Shomronim are also, by the way.
Yes,
Right,
where the
that's
Shomronim.
why
I'll soon talk about that. Give me just a couple of minutes. Just 1 second. I can see that it's not playing. Right? Just 1 second. Okay. I've got it. Okay. Here with the second page. Okay. Can you see the second page?
Yeah.
Okay. I talked about the two mitzvot which are written at the beginning of the parasha, and it should have been at the end of the last week's parasha. Why is it written here? Have a look that actually there's all kinds of important words that I bolded here in blue. Velakachta mereshit kol pri adama, and then bati el haaretz, and eretz zavat chalav udvash vereshit pri adama. And I wrote here on the left that these are actually Rabbi Nachem Zemba was a very special rabbi, was killed in the Shoah, was murdered in the Shoah, and he gave him amazing a few ideas, and one of the ideas is that Bikurim is actually repent on the sin of the spies. Wow. How does he prove that? Because it's written in the Mishnah that you have to take Bikurim from three, the Mishnah gives 3 examples. Take either grapes, take pomegranates, or take Teinim. Teinim is dates. Why? It is written dates.
Figs.
Why is Chazal giving those 3 examples? We've got, one is enough, and if you're giving examples, you give all the 7. What did the spies bring exactly? What were the 3 fruits that they brought? Was grapes, was pomegranates, and was dates. Amazing. Exactly the same. So Rabbi Nachem Zalman says, and the same words are appearing here. So first of all, it's this Bikurim is already a mitzvah, which is showing you that it's a brit, it's a covenant, also on Eretz Israel. You are amending. Why did you stay in the wilderness? Because 40 years you stayed in the wilderness because you believed the spies and the wrong spies. You didn't believe the 2 spies, you believed the false 10 other spies, and you stayed there. Now you're repenting, and now you'll bring Bikurim. So that's one interesting thing. The second thing is what I bolded already in green, and that's interesting. You come to the Kohen. We said that you come to the country and you take from the 7 species, you bring Bikurim, you bring the first fruit of those 7 species. Kibati el haaretz Hashem yishba Hashem la'avoteinu latet lanu, that God gave us this land. You come to the Kohen with the big, what's it called, tene. Tene is like a sal. It's like basket. And definitely it was probably a beautiful